bit of immersion breaking.
Yeah, sorry.
Just this lady called Tabitha with some pots and pans hanging off me.
Hold on.
Amazing.
Let me check just quickly. I think your character like picture is not, but I cannot remember if your character token
It's cool.
is
It doesn't
still.
really matter. It's just funny.
You currently don't have a token selected, so theoretically, if you were to drag yourself out, it would be the image you sent me.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Oh,
rather than the toad character that was there. In fairness, I just basically used the apothecary token that came with the Warhammer set.
That makes sense.
Yep. Apparently, men can't be apothecaries according to Warhammer, but that also makes sense, doesn't it?
Oh,
Apparently, they
it
all
does make
live in
sense.
swamps.
Yes.
I mean,
One more brief tangent. Sorry.
Go.
So I've been enjoying listening to audiobooks, and I'm doing my Horus Heresy kind of journey.
Yes.
I just listened to Legion by Dan Abnett.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, best Horus Heresy book.
Wow.
I haven't read all of them. No, I haven't read lots of them. Very, very good. Standalone, about the Alpha Legion.
I was going to say, it's about the Alpha Legion, isn't it?
well.
Yeah.
It is incredibly good writing. Like the actual prose, the quality of the prose is actually really great.
Yeah. It is amazing that out of all of the Warhammer writers, Dan Abnett is genuinely a good writer.
Oh, absolutely. Like if he wrote anything, it would be good writing. Like it just happens to be about homoerotic spacemen, but like real good writing.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
Usually, it's just like fan fiction, but without
Basically.
the fans.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
I know you haven't read them, but I highly recommend yet again the Gaunt's Ghost series.
I understand. Don't worry. I will get there.
Because they are wonderful. Also, Eisenhorn, if you've not read that, because that's
Also intend to get there.
yeah. Because I believe there's been talks that they're actually going to turn that into a live-action TV series.
Ooh.
Cool.
Which
As
is-
part of their special thing.
I think so. I don't know if it's outside of that or not, but like I think talks for a live-action show were happening around the same time that Warhammer Plus was bubbling. So whether or not it's under the same umbrella or if it's separate, I don't know. But that'd be very cool.
Be very cool.
Someone up in the business of Warhammer really needs to start doing something with their IP. Hey, they've been around for like so long, and they've done.
It's almost as if they bought out all the good content creators who could do stuff with their IP.
Yeah.
And then stamped to death all the other ones.
There's like one.
And then proceeded to do nothing. Yeah.
And like, I don't understand the prices of miniatures going up when everyone. Like, it's so easy to get a 3D printer now. Like, you would imagine it would go down to be competitive, right?
Particularly seeing as it looks like some of the newer models for Games Workshop are actually being 3D printed, or at the very least their test models are.
Yeah. Well, that's what I would have thought. Like, I understand that their quality of their dies and stuff is like getting better, and and everything, and the miniatures are very good quality.
Yeah.
But like, 3D printing has got to make their job easier. Even like from a making miniatures perspective, like let alone from a. I mean, obviously it's competitive, and they need to wake up the fact that they're going to kill off themselves. Yeah, exactly. Like their IP is not that good, particularly if they did stop doing things with it. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway.
What are we doing? Where are we? We're here. We're still in the town of Alberwitz.
Well,
right. So
that's Alberwitz.
Let's see. So if I remember rightly, you had just finished fighting a bunch of unwell civilians with a couple of skelly boys.
That's right.
Indeed.
And you had returned to the town with a single survivor that Alex had managed to pray the illness away from, sort of.
Some prayers.
Indeed.
Who you had then clobbered over the back of the head to make him tame. So this is where you find yourself. You're back in the town later in the morning. It's still quite early in the day because the attack happened at first light. You have an unconscious civilian who had disappeared into the forest and had then come back as a raving lunatic. The soldiers who are accompanying you, the 4, was it, or 3 who were afflicted, they have been taken off to be quarantined with the other civilians. And
I was trying to push that they get put in a cell so they don't die till we come back.
Weren't we trying to convert the tavern into like a sort of cell of some kind, and we were trying to isolate people?
The trade hall or whatever it's called. I can't remember what it was. The big building.
The guild hall.
Guild hall. Yeah, we're trying to see if they had any cells that we can.
That's right.
These homies in.
That's right.
So as you walk back into the town, you see a small gathering of civilians sort of around the main fountain place. One of them being the guild master that you, that Lucian at least met the day prior. A couple of priests and soldiers, as well as 2 men who, from their garb, look like blacksmiths. One human, one dwarf.
That's right.
And that they're all sort of just milling around, and the guildmaster spots you as you re-enter the town and says, "Oh, who have you got there?"
This is one of the huntsmen who was beset by this curse. Through Sigmar's blessing, I was able to save him from himself, and he voluntarily entered into his bonds, such that we might be able to return him here and heal him.
Is that right? Do you need a place to store him whilst you try and heal him, as it were?
We do, if there is somewhere safe.
There's not any place in the guild hall, but I was just chatting with Borgin and Burke here. They reckon you could chain him up at their smithy. And he sort of gestures with his head to the 2 blacksmiths.
Indeed. Well, if we could, I would lead on, and we will do such a thing.
So the dwarf sort of nods his head at you and says, "All right, follow me then, lad," and wanders off in the direction of the smithy with the other blacksmith tailing you.
Which one is the smithy on this map?
It is this one down here. Yep, that's the one. Cool. So the dwarf, as I say, he leads you over there. It's not very far, in fairness. As he wanders, he says to you, "So how exactly did you manage to talk sense into him? Every time we've tried talking to any of these people who've gone stark or even bonkers, they've just tried to attack us."
Well, many of his companions had, but I prayed with the fervor and strength of Sigmar to bless him and strengthen him in Sigmar's light, and he heard the truth in Sigmar's words. I think it was the holy justice of Sigmar that drove out whatever beset him. I feel our companion believes, and the apothecary believe, that this is not a natural disease, but rather a curse that is brought by enemies, and foul chaos has grown up from something to infect them, and it was Sigmar's purity that drove it out.
Quite right. I'm not normally one to pay too much faith into the holy speakings, but what he is saying is indeed true. We do believe it was beset rather than naturally occurring disease, and him speaking through the light actually did create some lucidity in this man.
Crungy's beard. Right, well, that's a right surprise, eyes. Who'd have thought it? Anyway, if you'll come with me, and he leads you around the back of the smithy, and there's a small area which is sort of not chained off. That's not really the word I'm looking for. It's like a small area which is fenced off with sort of iron railings, where they've stored firewood for the smithy and whatnot. And he says, right, if one of you could just give us a hand clearing out this firewood, you can chain up in here.
I'll absolutely come in, and he's a dwarf, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Yes, I like before he finished the sentence, I was helping him clear out the firewood.
Excellent. So between sorry,
I was going to say, while they're doing that, I would look around to see if there's any like cloths or bandages, because I imagine this guy's going to get quite cranky. We don't want him to like pull his wrists off in the shackles.
Around the smithy, you can't see any cloth, but there are definitely some sort of rags that you could use that they've used for various different things.
Yeah, I'll just try and line like the shackles I guess we're going to be using, just so to stop some of the blood flow.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'll help carry some wood out as well.
Excellent. So between the four of you, because the human blacksmith also helps you, you manage to clear out the wood pen in fairly short order.
I mean, also they're blacksmiths, so like. Yeah,
exactly. They're burly.
But also like I'm definitely going to be helping them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in fairly short order, you have the wood pen sort of cleared out, and you shackle the man up inside. You just sort of I guess chain his hands to the iron railings, and then they've sort of closed the gate behind you. The railings itself are probably about chest height, but they are topped, so he couldn't get out and over without cutting one of his hands off, basically.
Right. I mean, and we've chained him up. Like his
feet and hands are bound. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And did I gag him?
I think you did.
I feel like not like really tight, but just enough that
you
like
definitely gagged him. Yeah.
He could probably make some noises and whatnot, but he's not going to be like.
He's not going to choke.
No, he's not going to choke, but he's not going to bite anyone. Because those are my main concerns.
Yeah. So he's still unconscious. You gave him a pretty hefty blow to the back of the head to knock him unconscious, so he's still out of it at this point in time.
Yeah.
So once you've got him all bound and they've sort of shut the gate behind, the dwarven blacksmith, who's introduced himself as Borgin, has produced a small chain and padlock and has locked the gate and says, "Right, normally we only use this to keep the children from getting into the wood pen and stealing their logs for playing sword fights with, but this will have to do for now."
It's much appreciated.
Right, well, is there anything else we can do for you?
What are we doing with the affected soldiers? Should they be in a similar situation before they turn?
The soldiers...
If possible. There were some, I believe, that they were healed and then...
Well, there was a few that were... Their blood was compromised by those, so there is... Given what we've learned so far, there's every chance that they're going to follow suit, I guess.
Right, well, you probably have to talk to their sergeant about that, I think. But there's definitely room in there for them if you've got... How many do you think there'll be?
I believe there's 3.
Aye, yeah, there'll be room in there for them, that's fine. But I'd talk to their sergeant about that.
That's probably a good call.
And you remember when you left with the blacksmiths to head to the smithy, that Sergeant Rittenhouse was chatting in the sort of centre square with the guildmaster and a few of the priests and other minor merchants who were milling.
Yeah.
So do you head back there, or do you talk to the smiths some more?
I'm going to talk to the smiths some more, I think.
Sure.
Yeah. And just, I guess, ask them about just think what I would say. I guess I want to ask them about what they know about this, sort of, if they remember anything or know anyone who's been affected by this thing.
Sure. So
the curse and things.
Yeah. So the two of them sort of invite you into the smithy. What are the other two of you doing, by the way? Are you hanging around, or are you heading back off?
Oh yeah, I'm lurking.
Yeah, just having a cheeky lurk.
Cool. Right, in that case, they invite you into the smithy, and they offer you a cup of water. They they intentionally don't keep ale in the smithy because of an incident in the past.
And it sounds very unfamiliar to me with the other sort of smiths I've dealt with, but
sure,
sounds sensible.
It's certainly sensible. And the two of them, so the human blacksmith, whose name's Burke, he says, let's see now. Well, there's probably about, I would say, near on half the population of this here town have become infected. So yeah, we certainly know a few people, don't we, Borgin? And the dwarf nods and says, "Aye, there's a fair few people who we know who have come down with it."
Of course.
When did it first start? Let's see now. Probably about a couple of weeks back. There was talk that one of the outlying villages had been ravaged by some sort of unknown illness. So one of the huntsmasters from here went out to go and check it out, and he returned. Seemed fine at first, and then he went mad and killed his entire family and attacked anyone who tried to stop him before running off into the wilderness.
Do you remember his name?
Let's see now. What was his name? I think it might have been Ulrich. There's lots of Ulrichs in this part of the woods, you understand.
Of course.
Every second or third man's named Ulrich or Ulrichson or something of that nature. I think his name was Ulrich though.
Is Ulrich the name of the bounty that also Ulrich is chasing?
No, that wasn't. He was called Gerhard.
Gerhard,
that's right. That's right. And hang on, Gerhard this is a different story, isn't it? This is new.
This story that is being told to you presently?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I thought. This is not what we've actually heard before.
No.
Yeah, so Ulrich appears to be like patient zero sort of thing.
Yes, from what? Well, at least patient zero for this town. Yeah.
That's right. But okay, and then it was because we heard that it started outside the town.
Yes.
Yeah, there's that village.
Which is which is similar to what this is. Yeah, so the stories are vaguely similar.
That's what I thought. Like I do remember. Like I'm not just expecting you to remember everything for me, but I do sort of vaguely remember. That's okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, it's been.
And when did the priest of Ulrich shut down and stop helping his flock? For I've tried to speak with him as a fellow priest. I know that the folk who live in the north, I tend to draw inspiration more directly from Ulrich rather than Sigmar, but we are all part of the Empire.
Hey, when did he start mucking about there, Burke? Do you remember? Hey, let's see. I think it would have been about not long after the second or third group of huntsmen came back, ravaged by whatever this ailment is. He started communicating with any and all who were the most devout of his flock, and they boarded up the doors despite all our best efforts and protestations. He said that this was a test from Ulrich, this illness, and that only the strong and the pure of heart would see it out.
And yet they cower in their temple. That is not the bravery of Ulrich that I've come to know.
Aye.
Can I infer from your absence from his flock that you are perhaps less pious than he is, or perhaps you put your faith in others of the pantheon?
Oh, I bend the knee at most of the gods' temples on the respective days.
Of course.
Being a man of the north myself, I'm obviously a bit more inclined towards Ulrich, but I'm no more or less than any other man, I'd say, if I'm truly honest. I would say
that is right to say.
But you can understand as well, my friend, that a fight doesn't always have to be between steel. It can be within flesh and bone as well. These sick are still fighting.
Aye, and that would be
Indeed they are, but to hide from them.
That would be what either the green goddess Raya would say, I would think. But look, if I'm honest, I think it's got more to do with church politics than anything else. But I wouldn't know any more about that than the average man, I suppose.
Will you speak with wisdom, friend? And how does this work for you? Is there a way we can help you with this? Because it seems that you too are bound to struggle in other ways.
Well, there's still work to be had. It's not a great deal. We spend more of our time actually sharpening swords and banging out dents out of armour than we do making horseshoes and repairing buckets these days. But it's nice to flex those skills once in a while, isn't it, Borgin? And the dwarf nods again and says, "Aye, it's been a while since I've had to make a weapon other than an axe for chopping down wood. So it's nice to get back to it." But no, we're fine for the most part. As I said, there's plenty of soldiers around here who need their armour and weapons maintained. So for the most part, we're doing all right. It's just a concern that the civilians are just going to disappear, and before too long, it's just going to be a town filled with priests, soldiers, and just the two of us.
Of course. Well, do you know of any other folk that we can help in town?
I mean, if you've spoken with the priestess who's in charge here and the guildmaster, it's probably not much else you can do. The main sort of figures of authority in the town are the guildmaster, us two, and then the tavern keeper who's unfortunately passed now, and that's kind of it. And the priest of Ulrich, but he's seems to be keeping to himself. So I'll tell you what you probably could do though. That's probably the only thing you really could do, is to try and get more aid sent from Middenheim.
Indeed, if we could, I believe we might be all that there is for now.
I know that the priestess was trying to collect samples to send back to their temple back in the city. Is there perchance maybe you could take that sample back so that none of the priests or priestesses have to be spared the task? They can stay here and continue their ministrations.
Perhaps we could. It does seem like we could put that to good use, and we are the ones who have witnessed the curse firsthand and survived.
I feel like on the way we should also check out that small village where this seems to have sort of started as well, to see if there's anything left behind.
I think you'll find that village is the wrong direction if you head back to Middenheim.
That is unfortunate.
It's on the road towards Salzenmund, that village, right on the border. If you're heading back to Middenheim, it's the other direction.
However, I think it is sensible to check out the village too. I think there might have been evidence that was missed. Or perhaps new, fresh eyes, fresh wisdom might give us some more ideas.
Because my fear is they're not going to send more bodies here whilst it still stands to reason that the inflicted are going to increase. I feel like in terms of our numbers game, we should...
Merely feeding the curse.
Exactly right. But there's definitely wisdom in sending samples back to places with more resources.
Exactly.
Perhaps
I mean, not only
bring back some ale.
Hey, look, that certainly wouldn't go amiss. We don't tend to drink much here at work, but we sort of miss quenching a parched throat at the end of the day.
Maybe a little bit of a morale booster. I can't imagine things being overly sprightly as we stand.
No, indeed. I think that might be your best chance. If you can get samples taken back to the city, then all of the temples and the wizards and whatnot can bend their their concerted efforts towards it. With the resources they've got in the city, we're fairly limited with what we've got here.
Of course.
Does sound like as good a direction as any.
Indeed.
And there's definitely wisdom to be had in heading back out to that the original town that the rumours started from. As you say, a fresh set of eyes certainly couldn't hurt.
Perhaps on the way back, we can drop off. That seems to be more pressing. Then once we return, we can take a field trip.
That seems sensible.
Or perhaps, but also if we could gather even more evidence and return with the evidence, both from our own observations and
then present
the sample, then we could present it all together and have a more concrete answer or concrete sort of understanding.
You do raise a very valid point. How far away is this village from us?
Oh, it's only about, let's see now, and then Burke chips in, it's about a half day's march up the road towards Salzenmund.
I would imagine perhaps there are some horses in this village unattended.
Aye, you could probably borrow some horses.
Maybe it's worth... Did you bring yours?
Yeah.
I don't have one.
We can probably wrangle up a horse or two.
I'm sure we could borrow a horse or two, or particularly if we're helping the village.
Exactly.
And as part of, as guards being sent here from Middenheim.
I'm sure most soldiers arrived with a horse, and there's maybe some horses without owners, so maybe a sense of purpose in these beasts would be a good thing.
I'd a chat with the guildmaster. I reckon he might be able to loan you some horses.
Be excellent.
Sounds good to me.
It would certainly save the time. We could go for a swifter ride.
It would.
Wouldn't want to be caught out there in the dark.
There's also a good point. Perhaps we should move swiftly then.
I think so. Let's do that.
Right, well, pleasure, and we'll let you know if this guy comes round.
Please do. If you can, feed him and water him. I would be, make sure that they do not starve. I know that many of the folk seem to eat, seem to attack people, but I feel that if they at least left some bread and water, and I'll give them like 5 silver.
Yeah, obviously,
to
don't
pay
put yourself anywhere near it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, our understanding is the way that the curse is spread is through wounds inflicted by those already affected. So whatever you do, don't let them bite you or scratch you or anything. But if you can, and stay safe that way.
Right. Yes. All right. Well, we'll bear that in mind. Yeah, we'll leave some food and water for him when he wakes up. But yeah, get you off to the sergeant and to the guildmaster. I reckon they might be able to supply you with horses and give you some information about what to do with those soldiers who've been infected as well.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you. You have been most delightful and helpful.
Not a problem at all.
Of course.
Aye. Alright, Valia's blessings on all you, I suppose.
May Sigma bless and protect you, and may he bless your hammers in the forge. I'll make the sign of the hammer.
Which they reciprocate.
Mm-hmm.
So you wander off back to the town square to find that everyone's still sort of there. The sergeant is basically still giving what seems to be more of a blow-by-blow description of the fight you guys just had.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like leaving out how shit his soldiers were.
Yeah, my god. Every time they'd swing and it would just bounce.
And she shot and she missed.
He's just saying like classic coach shit, like, just got to trust the process. Wasn't our day out there today, but the boys tried. Gave it all 4 quarters. That's all you can really ask.
Wasn't the best conditions, but
Look, I don't want to make any excuses, but the boys had a long ride on the way there. It's foreign ground.
So yeah, you come across the sergeant still talking to the guildmaster and a few other people of minor import in the town. guildmaster, you catch as you walk up, the guildmaster says, "Right, so there was some of your own soldiers who were infected, you say?" "Oh yes, yeah, there was a couple who were attacked and wounded, but the apothecary here," gestures over at Lucian, "saw to them and tended to their wounds."
Yes, their wounds are not fatal. They will recover from those, but I'm more concerned with the affliction within. So I would highly recommend you keeping those boys somewhere segregated and somewhere they can't use their teeth or their fingers, unless you want more to suffer the same fate.
Right. Well, we do have a stockade, I think, or do they get taken down for firewood? And he looks off and, oh no, it got turned into a stretcher at some point, didn't it? Aye. Right. Well, you might have to chain them up then with the fella that you guys just took off.
It might seem as a rough punishment now, but it's the best chance they have of making it through the week.
I concur.
And the sergeant sort of looks at you guys. I'll go and inform them then. He salutes you in particular, Wolfgang, and then turns a salute to the guildmaster and then heads off in the direction of the tavern where his men had been sent to quarantine with the others.
Mm-hmm.
And so the guildmaster turns to you and says, "Right, well, that's that dealt with. Is there anything else that you require? I don't think there's much else that you can do for us at this point in time other than provide more military aid just in case we get attacked again."
Well, there is a couple of matters we could definitely do your help with. Firstly, because I am also running on a timer. On our way here, we were accosted by some large 8-legged beasts, some spiders. I was able to harvest some of their poison glands, which could be used as an anti-venom, but their usable time frame is running out short quickly. Would anyone in this village need them?
What sort of spiders were they, do you know?
Very, very large spiders.
They wouldn't happen to have been the dreaded Drakwold man-catchers, were they?
Exactly the sort.
Aye. And you bested... How many did you say there were?
I think we killed about at least 5 to 6.
I think it sounds about right.
Yeah.
Aye.
I'll pull out like my spider sacks. Show that I'm not full of shit.
Yep. They're starting to look a little off colour at this point in time. And there's a bit of a rising smell coming from them as well.
Yeah, I have 4 of them in a jar.
Yeah. Aye. Yeah, you could take it. There's a lady who lives just over by the northern door or the northern gates of the town. She's not really an apothecary as such. She's more of an herbalist, I would say. But she occasionally uses venoms or what have you in the creation of some sort of tonics or salves or whatever. She might find a use for them.
Just figured they are going to spoil soon, and if you are making ventures into these forests on a semi-regular basis, it could come in handy.
Aye, I couldn't tell you what it might be used for, but certainly you can speak with her. She might be able to tell you.
Will do. And I guess I'll just take a few steps back and let Wolfgang lead.
I'm happy to do that.
Cool.
Sure. Yeah, but yep.
Cool. All right. Well, so you head off in the direction of the northern gate.
Sorry, I meant we still ask about horses, hey?
Oh, of course. No, that's I was just thinking that. Sorry.
That's
of course. That's all right. Yeah. So before we go, obviously, I'll say yeah. So I say, well, we were hoping to take some of the evidence of this plague back to Middenheim to see if we can get some more help from maybe even the high priests of Shalia there, or any other apothecaries and such who might be able to help. We believe it's administered by a curse, but so we can travel more swiftly, we're hoping to borrow some horses.
Indeed. Of course, we've definitely got horses going to spare at the moment. Hold on just a moment, and he leaves you where you are and wanders off, calling after various people around the town. And he eventually finds who he's looking for and sends them off towards the stables and says, if you wait a moment, I know, milady, you had a horse yourself. They'll bring your horse over and a couple of extras for you to ride on out. That'll get you back to Middenheim in, half the time, I'd say.
That's good. Thank you.
Delightful.
So, in the interim, whilst you wait, he points out the direction of where this herbalist's house is, and then he says, "So, do you think it's something that can be cured, or is it a bit more of an ongoing problem that we'll have to just deal with?"
I can assure you that my prayers and blessings of Sigmar were enough to, albeit temporarily, lift the affliction from one of the villagers. I believe it was one of the huntsmen who was afflicted quite early on. They swarmed out of the mist in the morning and attacked us, and I prayed to Sigmar to save him, and he was able to recover enough that he willingly put on the shackles we offered in the hope that we could save him further with a cure. So yes, I have faith that it can be cured.
Aye.
Even if it is through strengthening your faith in Sigmar.
Indeed. Right. Well, I mean, a cure is a cure. If that is what it takes to rid this part of Middenheim from such maladies, then I think you'll find a receptive ear. Maybe not amongst all. I certainly think the priest of Ulrich here and his more loyal followers would probably turn a blind eye.
He seems to have very much shut the door, both physically and spiritually, on any other options. Of course, I am a warrior priest of Sigmar, and recognize his primacy among the pantheon in our holy empire, but it is foolish to deny the divinity of the other gods, particularly as it was Ulrich who crowned Sigmar a god himself.
You're not wrong there. Look, as I said, I think certainly if you can find concrete evidence that this here faith, or if be it in Sigmar or any god, is able to help treat or eventually cure this malady, then by all means, as I said, I think you'll find a receptive ear here, particularly after current events with our current religious folk.
Of course. Well, I mean, I would ask you, brother, if you could, to share some of this story that I have offered. Our means are to travel around and recover more evidence, but if you could perhaps share this story with your folks so that more of the right ears might hear it, that would be helpful.
Indeed. I'll have a word when we next have a town moot, which will probably be not too long off if we start losing any more townsfolk.
Well, hopefully not too many go missing, not too many are lost before we can return and help.
Aye, that'd be grand. Oh, here come your horses now. And young lad returns leading 3 horses. And he says, "Well, I do hope you managed to find what you're after. Now, did I hear that you were going to do you need to collect some samples from the priestess before you head on out?"
That was the plan?
Should we do that on the way?
We should probably collect.
I think so. I think so. Yes, we were going to go and inspect the initial site and then.
Aye, right. Indeed, that makes sense. Very well.
Not to endanger them.
Very well. Well, I shan't hold you up then. Well, I guess we'll see you upon your return. I imagine it'll probably be later in the day, probably towards sundown by the time you return from the village.
I prefer not to stay out in the dark.
Aye.
Not with more man catchers in the forest.
Aye, certainly not.
Right. I'll make the sign of the hammer again.
He fumbles awkwardly and makes a very crude sign of the twin tail combat at you. It's clearly out of practice.
That's all right. Thank you, brother.
And so you lead the horses over towards the northern gate, and it's quite easy to spot this herbalist's house. There's a bunch of dried herbs hanging from the eaves around her front door. You can't see anything through the windows, but you do notice a light coming from underneath the closed door, so you assume there's someone at home.
So I'll give it a little tappy tap.
Cool.
The back of my hammer.
After a moment, the door opens and this not old lady, she's probably middling to old, right on the cusp. She sort of looks up at you and says, "Hi, can I help you?"
I believe I can more help you. Along our travels, we've encountered some of these man catchers, and we managed to extract some venom glands, but from the smell they are close to being past their use-by date. Perhaps, do you have any reason to purchase these?
Aye, well,
show her the jar of them.
She takes the jar from your hands and holds it up to the light and says, "Aye, you're not wrong. They definitely are man catcher venom glands. 4 of them. Did you manage to slay 4 man catchers?"
At least. These are the only ones that were still intact.
Marvellous. There's not a great deal of uses for man catcher venom, I will say that much. But I can tell you what you do use it in, if you're interested to know.
I am.
It's used in a very, very potent poison called long sleep.
Ooh.
It's nigh undetectable. You can pass a little bit into someone's food or wine, and they start feeling drowsy, and then if they fall asleep, that's it. There's no waking them.
Ah, so it's a permanent rest.
Aye. But to all intents and purposes, it looks just like they're falling asleep. And then a lot of people have likened the symptoms to that of like some sort of heart failure, and so the poison itself quite often goes undetected. So it's quite a favorite with assassins and the like.
Interesting. You wouldn't happen to have a recipe? I am somewhat of an apothecary myself.
Just asking for a friend.
I can't say I do. I've only heard that it's used in it. I don't know how to make it myself.
That is unfortunate.
I think it sounds very good that they are nearly past their use by date. I would hate for the wrong folk to...
I'm not suggesting that we do it for nefarious means, but in terms of if we were to get the jump on an enemy, perhaps settling down for some supper and we didn't have to fight 4 beasts, it's not the worst outcome.
But how would we feed it to an enemy if we are fighting, things like spiders and these chaos-cursed men?
I don't know, I'm sure they eat.
How would you sneak it into their food?
A few flaws in this plan, I'll admit. I think the excitement of a new
Purely
potion.
scientific.
Tell you what, though, as you said, they are almost on their way out, and I think I might be able to find some sort of use for them at the very least. Let me see now. Because they're not fresh as such, I could probably sell them to you. I'll probably purchase them from you for, let's see now. Maybe 10 silver.
That sounds good to me. You can keep the jar.
Marvellous. Oh.
We're just gonna pour them into her hand.
She reaches just inside the door and grabs a coin purse and counts out 10 silver pennies into your hand.
Oh
She
yeah.
says, "Absolute pleasure. If you're ever passing this way again, you've got other ingredients or components for potions or
Poisons,
as it were. Feel free to stop
I say disapprovingly.
So I will do you one better. Is there any anything in the local vicinity that you would need to collect? I'm saying if chance perhaps put us that way and I could collect some for you, maybe you could share some knowledge. I could give you some ingredients.
Well, now, I mean, just the usual sort of hemlock, nightsbane, if you can find it. There's a particular type of fungus. Let me see. It's I can never remember the name of it, but you'd know it on sight. It's got a white stalk with a red cap, and it looks almost to be dripping with some sort of ichor.
I'll definitely keep an eye out.
You can't miss them. They're quite obvious, but they're not easy to find. I'll say that much.
Not a problem. Like I said, if we're in the area and some of these things pop up, I'll be sure to do my best.
Well, that sounds
blue flower, red thorns.
White stalk, red cap, dripping fungus. It's the full legal name. Well, wonderful. This has been most delightful. Have a lovely afternoon.
Aye. You too. Pleasure. She disappears back inside her house.
Yeah, she's definitely put us on some kind of list. Do not sell poison ingredients to. Will use.
I was just excited to do some learning. This is the first time my character's been able to sell something in fucking 18 months.
That's true. No, don't worry. Yeah, it's good.
When you go door to door with like rotting spider innards, I think you're gonna take many.
That was that.
Hi.
You got some of that good.
Yeah.
Actually, it's almost 2 years now. It'll be 2 years in like a couple of weeks.
Oh.
Nice.
One shot somewhere. Ben's house. Pub.
Shit.
Sounds about right.
Right. So you ride on out the north gate, and you ride for about be half a day's march. So it probably only takes you about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, to get to this village.
Fairly jet, right?
Yeah. Do any of you not have ride horse as an ability?
I mean,
that is a good question. I'm pretty sure I have ride horse, but
I'm fairly sure you do, Steph, because you have a horse.
Oh, man.
I do not have ride horse.
Let me just quickly.
I have animal care and charm animal.
Please let me ride you.
Let me just
I think I've got ride horse.
I don't think it really matters, in fairness. I think ride horse literally means that you are capable of riding one.
I mean, I don't have it. I mean...
I don't know that I have it. Would it be under animal training? Is that the...
No, I would have thought that you would have had it, because you, have a horse.
Yeah, I don't know that I have it.
I mean, as a challenging role, I wasn't very charming to that horse.
Why do I not have ride horse? That's a worry. It's like they were taunting me when they gave me a horse. Like, this is going to be amazing.
It's a challenging role, eh?
Is it challenging? I just made up
it would
try
be
to roll.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, in that case, I'm going to re-roll that because.
Me too.
Can I sniff the horse?
Particularly want to.
Yeah, you definitely. You definitely would have.
Oh no, still marginal failure.
I
But rather that, I failed, but at least I didn't break my ankle.
Just the horse's ankle, now it needs to be put down.
Shit.
Oh well, can't win them all.
I'll get at my sledgehammer.
Jesus Christ.
Go into the glue business.
Oh my god. Just turn up on the apothecary's doorstep with an
Yeah.
entire horse.
This is Warhammer, right? Glue is obviously an important part of it.
One could say it holds the empire together. You can just kick me off the call if you want.
would never.
Is right down.
Oh yeah, I see. That's right. You do technically you are able to get ride horse as a level 3 outlaw. You have not taken any advances in it yet.
Ah.
There we go. I was like, I could have sworn that you got ride horse as a skill. You do. You just haven't put any skills advances into it yet.
Okay, well that is my next job.
Cool. Yeah. Look,
the ships of the past.
I'm going to assume that you have all at least ridden a horse once before. And have a vague idea of how to do it, and you're not doing anything.
We know which end's the front and which end's
the
back.
It's a gentle ride, right? Like if we get into a challenge situation where we're racing,
we're not going to be doing any Fast and Furious wheelies.
Yeah, well, essentially, the only time it says that you actually have to perform a ride horse test is if you're doing anything that is out of the ordinary on a horse. So, like literally riding a horse.
Very broad.
He's fine.
Like literally riding a horse.
And slightly worrying.
Cool. Right, so you make it to this village, and it is very much your classic sort of western desolate village. There's like one road, the road you're on. There's a few houses down either side, tumbleweed, you know. An ill wind.
Sure, I mean, it's in a forest, but that vibe,
yeah. You can spot that there are the sort of rather grisly remains that have been left out in the open and have been picked at by various wild things. Just sort of dotted around, both on the outskirts of the town and within the sort of main drag of the village itself.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't take you very long to determine that this village is completely abandoned. There is no one left alive here. But I'll get you all to make for me, please. Let's call it a track test if you've got it, and if you don't have track, then it will just be a perception test.
Cool.
Okay,
if it's track, it'll be average. If you don't have track and it's just perception, it'll be challenging.
Cool.
Way. So track is average.
Track is average, yeah.
Way.
Nice. Very nice.
Oh yeah.
Might not be able to ride a horse, but goddamn can I track. Oh, I should have used my nose. Oh well.
That's alright. Well, you've all managed to successfully find various different odds and ends.
That was actually probably one of the better perception rolls we've made as a group before.
I think all three of you passed.
We all passed.
All of us are usually looking elsewhere.
I think so. Like particularly the three of us. Now, out of interest, are we playing this like the others are here or not?
I would assume that they are with you and are just sort of doing.
That's right. Like not. Yeah, obviously more in case of like if we encounter some dar.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna need Heike's like fucking magic spidey sense to know what's going on rather than.
Very true.
Like none of us are gonna know chaos, but that's fine. Yep, cool.
Ulrich, Seaman, Hitman sort of mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the three of you, whilst you're sort of looking and sort of, you all take a moment to stop and look at each sort of set of remains as you pass them and to poke your heads into various different abandoned houses and whatnot. And
I'm making various religious observances as I walk around and sort of praying. And,
naturally, yeah.
Yeah, naturally, obviously.
Whilst you are doing this, all three of you, separate to each other, but at roughly the same time, manage to find on or near the remains of whichever individual you're looking at, a curious glass pendant.
Ooh.
The pendant itself,
Right.
it is... hang on, I do have notes on this, but I don't have them up.
Curious.
Yeah.
Let's see. course, Acrobat Reader is being slow and is not allowing me to open my notes.
As is tradition.
Yes. Where are we? There. Where are we? Right. So the pendants themselves, they are fairly innocuous looking. They are it just looks like a very small, slightly curved shard of glass that has been set in a not sharp, and it's been set in a small sort of silver cap and attached to a sort of a leather thong that is worn around the neck. When the three of you meet back up with these, you notice that they are roughly uniform. They're not perfect, all of them. There are some slight variations between them all, but the style is unmistakably the same between the three of them.
Yeah. There's obviously some link.
Yeah. But you can't find any further information in this town. It's being that it's a small village, no one here knows how to write or read, so there's no written words anywhere for you to find to pick up. As this village has been abandoned for probably 2-3 weeks by this point, it's been pretty thoroughly gone over by the wild things of the forest, and probably brigands as well.
Yeah.
Darn brigands.
Do wonder.
Now your turn to ask. Just hypothetically, where are the brigands? Is that right? Just like
I'm standing right here, but
the not poisoner asking about how to not poison people.
You think I'm not a poisoner, but I am a profession that says I am a poisoner.
No.
You've got it like on a t-shirt, like ask me about poisons.
Yeah.
Call the poisons hotline, but not for me.
It's like the t-shirt on the front just says got milk, and on the back just says nah, just death.
Got milk, on the back it's poison. Do you actually?
So lactose intolerant, life intolerant.
Ingredients: milk, poison. Lactose intolerant.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm going to again make the sign of the comet. Say and the hammer. Say a prayer to Sigma, and then very carefully pick up one of these pendants.
Yep.
In like a cloth or a scrap of fabric.
Yep.
And then put it in a purse.
Easy. No problem.
Pick it up and put it in my purse.
I would, again, wrap it and put one of them in my bandolier. So it's not touching skin.
Nice.
And I would just ask Wolfgang, does any of this represent anything to you? Does it seem in the way of symbolic? They seem quite similar, but not the same. Is this iconography that you've recognized?
Is it?
Roll for me, please, a test of some sort.
I mean, would it be some kind of religion thing, a theology, just like law theology? Because I mean, that's my interest.
Yeah.
Like I'm asking in the way is like, does this look like a Christian cross pendant sort of thing?
Sure. That's sort of what I would sort of. That's the
let's
skill
go with a law
use.
theology then.
Is more. It's not actually like it's not necessarily my high skill anyway, but like it's just that's kind of been more.
I would say this will be an average test then.
Cool.
Oh, very nice.
Spicy.
Getting all the good rolls out whilst the other two are away.
Nice.
That's it.
Exactly. Well, it's just
No, you're fairly well versed in the iconography and symbols of the main cults within the Empire.
Yeah.
This does not look like any that you have seen.
Cool.
Probably the closest you would think would be maybe Ulrich, but like Ulrich certainly doesn't have just like shards of glass. Glass is not one of the.
So I relay that information.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't look like anything that I'm familiar with. It doesn't look like any of the Imperial cults.
Intriguing. Maybe someone in the capital will know more.
I would be surprised if they didn't. But whether that is a good thing or not, I don't know. And yet all the people seem to be bearing them. Perhaps we should go and see if any of the soldiers that we fought and rescued had them or found anything like them.
Yeah. Do you believe that maybe like they were planted on the corpses after they perished? Seems like a weird thing to carry.
That's true. But yet, for all the corpses to be bearing them, that seems very strange.
Can I do like a medicine check on the corpses to see if like the bodies have been fucked with at all?
You could do, but at this point in time, they've been so ravaged by exposure and being picked at by wild animals that there's not much.
Like you would have no idea. That's all good. Yeah. Easy.
Is there anything else you want to have a look at in this village of sadness, or have you seen enough?
Is there like a shrine to Sigma?
Too small of a village for that, unfortunately.
Okay.
Sure. You imagine that if they did need to come to go for a place for benediction, they would probably come to the town that you were in before.
Sure, makes sense. So very much is just like 4 or 5 houses kind of thing.
Oh yeah, we're talking like at the most 8 houses dotted around.
Yeah, okay,
that's it.
Sure.
Should we burn or bury these bodies, or do you think they're already on the way to where they should be going?
I don't. I mean, I presume I would be familiar with what the correct. I mean, really, it would be for a priest of Moor to say their rights and judge their doom. And
indeed, you would know. I'll base this off your previous law theology test. You would know that. It's not your place to determine how a body is disposed of after. Yeah. Because once the soul is left and has been judged by Moor, the body is just an empty vessel. So. It's not your place to call it. So, considering that the elements and the wild has claimed them, you say that is acceptable.
Yeah, right. That's what I would have thought. Like I figured as a priest, I would just kind of inherently know that. Like I wouldn't even need to necessarily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes, we shall let them return to nature naturally then.
I think so. The souls, I hope they have been watched over. I know that Moor will have guided them and claimed them. I hope that Sigmar and Ulrich and all those that watch over them will have helped guide them on their path. I think we should go back and investigate further these necklaces, this jewellery, and then return to the capital and see what other help we can go.
Believe so. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so you ride back to the town of Alberwitz. By the time you get there, the sun is just starting to set. It's probably maybe an hour before sundown.
Mm-hmm. Just as he said.
And the town watch were, waiting for you, so they expected you. And when you came back, you returned the horses to the guildmaster, who says, "No, if you're making back to Middenheim, you can hang on to them for the time being. There's a chance that you'll be needing them."
I wasn't giving my horse back.
Yeah,
not until I was intended to ride that horse until I'm back here again after Middenheim, probably.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
He then sends you on your way to the priestess. Priestess. What was her name again? I've completely forgotten. Sister. Something.
I don't know.
Sister Sadie. Sister Georgiana. There we go.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So he sends you over to her to collect the samples for you to take back to the town. To the city, as it were.
Great. And wanted to go and check the soldiers that we. And I'm going to go and check specifically with the guy that I helped.
Yep.
I'll go check in with the soldiers.
Same.
And see if we can find one of those pendants on them. But also, I was going to get the pendant out just and see if they, I guess, react to it.
Yep. So you head back over to the smithy, and you find that not only is the man that you chained up there earlier there, the 3 soldiers at your request had also been chained up in there as well. The soldiers are still fairly lucid. Some of them have got the starts of the buboes and pustules showing up on near wherever they were bitten or scratched, but for the most part they still seem in good spirits. The gentleman that you managed to pray the illness away from he has come to, and he's sort of sitting in a corner, sort of very quietly, sort of chattering to himself.
I'm going to go over to him and basically try and pray again.
Cool.
The same praying that I was doing previously.
Cool.
If I may.
Yep.
And so I'm going to get down on my hands and like go up to him and put my hands on his shoulders.
Cool.
And see if I can do that.
All right. Feel free to make a pray test.
Yeah. I'll do that.
Do you think that's what ScoMo has to do every time he's bothering a bushfire victim? Make a pray test. Whoops, it got political.
Where the hell is my pray test and pray skill gone? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
Turns out you tried to pray the gay away and it didn't work.
The gay is too powerful. Feel gay.
Cool. But anyway, I do that.
Oh, it's not quite a crit.
Make it worse.
Okay, you are.
You leaving it at that?
Well, I don't necessarily know that it's worked or not, right? Like these prayers are subtle.
He's taking it on faith.
Oh no.
This is it. Prayers are subtle, right? Like,
Jesus, take the wheel.
Pretty much.
Jesus does not know how to ride horse.
Right.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So you are. Is that considered a fumble? I am curious now.
You managed to pray the hell into him.
I don't know.
I'm going to quickly just check.
He just did the door the wrong way.
If that is considered a fumble, then Alex, for the first time, we will have to roll on the Wrath of the Gods table.
Okay.
Oh no!
Fumble, right?
Omi is now possessed.
It a fumble?
That's what I'm just checking now.
Yeah, okay. Because also, like, I've been putting a lot of like pro Sigmar stuff in, like a lot of benefits. I'd like to think that if I have to roll on the Wrath of the Gods, I might get off with like a godly slap on the wrist, as it were.
A wrath on the wrist.
Yeah.
They just get like a stern look.
A small thunderbolt directly at your wrist.
Yeah.
Just enough to sting, like, you know.
Just like a little static electricity.
Yeah, like if you shuffled your feet too hard on the carpet, it's like, ow.
Sigmar shuffled his feet on the godly carpet and just touched me, just zapped me.
I bet it's like shag carpet.
No.
You didn't quite notice, but now you just have a little bit of chafing in your thighs that you just wasn't quite there before.
Yeah.
No, it does not count as a fumble. A fumble is only if you rolled a double as a fail.
Oof.
I thought I just managed to dodge it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you are fine. So you are doing this prayer, and he looks up at you and says, "Oh, brother, I do wish that this would get through, but it's so hard to fight off this malady. I can feel it just gnawing at my insides."
Oh.
Well, know that, have strength. Know that Sigmar is with you. Know that I am with you, and I'll make the sign of the hammer.
I have to go away now.
I'll make the sign of the hammer, but as I'm going to get up and give a bit of distance, and I'm going to reach in and pull out the pendant thing.
Cool.
And just see if that provokes a reaction at all, and then and as I do, sort of ask if he's seen one of these before.
He looks at it. There's no reaction from him as such. But he says, "Oh yeah, I do remember seeing one of those. what was his face? The guy who bit me in the first place, Gerhard. He was wearing one.
Of course.
But no, I don't have one myself.
It's very intriguing.
Has he been eating?
Okay.
Is he alright?
You can see that there's a crust of bread that has been gnawed at, and the cup of water is like 2/3 full, so he's clearly drunk something. So.
Okay, well that's good.
No, that's good. Okay, cool. Well, that's that. I've heard. Look, I've got some evidence.
Yeah.
And Gerhard's the dude that we're after.
That Ulrich was after.
Ulrich is after you.
Hello, rat.
He's a significant character in this, this adventure.
To some extent.
Yeah, he's a noteworthy figure for what we seem to be doing. Yeah.
So
Yes, fancy jewellery.
you wander back over to the tavern where Sister Georgiana is, and you inform her that you're planning on going back to Middenheim, and would she like to send some samples back with you? And she agrees that that'd be fantastic, and that if you spend the night and then leave in the morning, the soldiers who had been garrisoned here, who have just been replaced by the fresh soldiers that you arrived with, will be heading back to Middenheim, so you could journey with them.
That sounds like a good idea.
That is a very sensible idea.
Yeah.
I think so too.
It is wise.
We need more bodies between us and the spiders.
Do you know of any supplies that you guys are critically low on that perhaps we can try and gather?
That is a very good idea. Well, I've got plenty of bandages and candles, so I'm probably alright.
Probably gonna pose the same question to the lady in front of us, like the priestess.
Oh, that's a good idea. Do some.
I'm sure they're all quarantined. Like, I don't know, if we're coming
She's
back.
like, for
if they have
God's
any
sake,
orders.
bring me a goddamn beer. Like, I'm out of my mind here.
She's like, well, with the next patrol, I believe we're getting a new contingent of priests of Shalia who will be bringing supplies. But I do thank you for your question.
Can't help but ask. Alright, I suppose we should head off in the morning.
Cool. So you spend the night with the soldiers as you did the previous night, and the following morning you head out, and after a couple of days' travel, you return to Middenheim. So we'll go back here. It's been a while. If it ever loads. So, you find yourself returning to Middenheim. When you get there, I'm assuming you want to make probably straight for the Commission of Health to try and get paid?
Look, probably, yeah. Getting paid is nice.
Pretty well, yeah.
Validation for our efforts. Hey, the job isn't done just yet, but it's a step.
I want to get the Commission of Health to try and, find out what's happening and show them the evidence we've got and see what we can do.
That's good.
Yeah. Just got to find where they are.
And then I wanted to go to... Well, I actually wanted to go to Temple of Ulrich. And see if they'll talk to me. But I'll do that after the health thing.
Just turn. Oops, that stopped all the music. No, don't do that.
Oh dear.
It's just trying to turn it down a touch. Goodness. There we go. Right, so you make your way to the Ostor region, or district I should say, which is somewhere on this map. Commission for Health is number 7, here.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get there, the person at the counter says, "Were you that party that got sent off to Alberwitz up in the March of Nordringen?"
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Aye. Right, one moment. I'll go get the person in charge of that inquiry. They disappear, and then a moment later, another official-looking person comes out and says, "Right, you returning with information, have you? Have you managed to cure it, or is it more a case of they need more assistance out there?"
I'm afraid they're going to need more assistance.
I had a feeling.
I'm merely a priest, but perhaps my medical companion can shed more light.
We have at least...
And our magical companion as well.
Indeed, we have managed to make some progress whilst we've seen the afflicted. This is definitely not a naturally born ailment these people are suffering from. Definitely seems to be curse related.
Right.
Which does make the job a little bit more tricky.
Indeed. Well, we'll certainly have to get both the Temple of Shalia and the Guild of Wizards involved then in that case. I know we're only making sort of we're only sort of stepped in at the request of the Temple of Shalia, but if you're saying that this illness is created rather than natural, then I think it will have to involve both the Commission and the Grand Guild.
It's definitely seeming that way. We have run all medical tests that are known to us, and nothing is coming up.
Right.
I believe that it is also a matter of faith.
Is that so?
Of course, I believe so. There was one afflicted individual who I was able to call to pray with me, and I felt the strength of Sigmar move through me, and his arm came down and shielded the victim from this curse, such that he regained his sort of awareness and was able to converse with us and willingly let us take him to be investigated so that we might eventually cure him. And my companions can vouch for this. They saw me speak to him in the battle, and
'tis true. He went from raving lunatic to coherent and lucid, and we spoke with him this morning, and he was not well, but not suffering from the same malady as the others. This priest has done great work.
Right. Indeed.
And yet it is their priest who has shut himself away. I understand that this is in the desire to protect his flock, but I am greatly concerned that the faith of the folk there is suffering, and that is what led this... it opened the door for this malediction to take root.
Aye. And do you happen to know what the which god this priest was a disciple of?
Come now. We are in Middenheim, in Middenland. Which priest do you think it is? I'm sure you can tell by my tonsured head, or my shaved head, that I am a man of Sigmar and the Empire, but of course this is a priest of Ulrich.
Ah, I see. Well,
I would advise you, I am of Ulrich and faith myself, albeit not as piously as others, but I do tend to side with this priest of Sigmar with this one. This man is shying from the fight.
Well, in that case, I think you might also have to try and get the Temple of Ulrich involved, which I shudder to think that will go very well for yourself, Master Priest. But you can but try.
Please. Well, perhaps if there was some sort of seal or message of weight I could bring from the Commission that might some political clout to my words, for I fear that being such a high seat of the White Wolf, that faith is strong, but only in certain spheres.
Aye.
I believe the politics goes hand in hand with faith here.
I think you are correct there, brother. Yes. I'll need time to write up a missive. If you come back on the morrow, I'll have something penned for you, and you can take it to the temple.
Very well.
As for your work, I understand whilst you have not been able to cure the ailment, I do recognise that it was somewhat of a fool's hope that you would be able to. We will still honour the promised payment, so if you'll excuse me but a moment, and he disappears off into an office and then comes back.
Before sorry, that's okay. Come back.
So he comes back and like, I believe the offered payment for services rendered was 3 gold crowns apiece. And he starts counting coins out to each of you.
Much appreciated, friend, but I would mind you that we're not quite finished with this investigation. We will see it through. At least I will. Can't speak for everyone else, but this one
I
is
am the same. If you are required by your own station to pay us now, then that's so be it. But the money will be going to the poor and the sick of the people, rather than my own coffers.
I am not quite as noble as my payment fee, but I will see this one through.
I do appreciate that. I imagine the various different members of the commission will probably want to send their own individuals out to ascertain further information and to try and continue this investigation along further. But if you are wanting to continue, I will still continue as it stands. I shall pay you out as it were. But if you do come back with any further evidence, I'll happy to provide you with extra remuneration for your efforts.
So be it.
That'd be quite kind.
Well now, I'd best be getting back to writing this missive and conferring with the other members of the commission, as well as reaching out to both the Temple of Shalia and the Grand Guild. It seems like we're going to have a lot of work to do.
Of course.
I would imagine so.
So,
I'm sure we will speak with some of the guilds that we are ourselves members of.
yes.
And actually, while I'm here, have you seen one of these before? And I reach in and show them the pendant.
And he looks at it and says, "You know what? It looks mighty familiar. Whereabouts did you find that, may I ask?"
We found it as part of our investigation. It was at the site first afflicted with this curse.
Some of those which had perished. These were nearby.
Indeed. It just so happens that I have seen something like that. It's a necklace of similar design. Has been become quite all the rage with a lot of the young ladies of the court and some of the wealthier ladies of merchant houses. I've only seen it in passing, but it does bear a striking resemblance.
And it's just the young ladies wearing these? None of the fellows are wearing them?
I can't say that I've seen them, but if it's passing through the upper crust of society, I wouldn't be surprised if you'd find a few of the young dandies who would be taking to wearing one.
I see. Just like as it wouldn't be natural for like males to be wearing like overt necklaces in this sort of world.
Not in certainly within the bosom of the empire in like Altdorf or Nuln, it's certainly more common. Out here, well, that's just something for your enemy to grab and get you in close with. You don't want that.
Yes, but like it would not be. It's not common for males to be wearing necklaces.
No,
so it is
but
a little bit strange. Well, not so strange.
As he said, like there certainly would be some young dandies who would probably take to wearing it.
Yeah.
Dandies.
But it's unusual.
But it is unusual, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But also interesting that they've seen it around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you perhaps know where they're getting these necklaces from?
Oh, I couldn't say, if I'm honest. I've just only just recognised it. I've seen it in passing a few times. I wouldn't say I've seen it up close enough to know where or who was even wearing one. I've just seen it in passing on the necks of a few fine young women.
Fair enough.
And there hasn't been any stories of people being attacked in the city? More unusual than normal would be for a city this size?
No, we've not had anything particular towards at the moment. Not that I'm aware of, in any case.
No symptoms of this plague cropping up in any of the sick houses or hospitals?
No, we've carefully monitored all of the patients who come through our communal sick houses, and the ones that are operated by the priests of Shalia. We're always concerned about the return of a plague after the Great Black Plague of the past. So no, we haven't had any outbreaks of any sort of plague for a while. The worst we've had at the moment is there's been a small case of the galloping trots out in the Ostwald district, but that tends to be localized to someone who's just made a bad batch of pies. Right, well, I best be about it. Thank you again for all your assistance, and we'll be in touch. If you come by tomorrow, I'll have that note for you.
Did they give us money?
Yes. So you've each received 3 gold crowns.
Yes.
I might just quickly
buy some armor.
Before I forget about it, I might actually add that into Heike and Ulrich's character sheets.
I just realised I did that whole thing without a single piece of armor.
Nice.
Real bad.
Well done.
Austin, I have a leather jerkin.
I thought you had some.
I have 1 piece of armor if I get hit in the body.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Actually, I'll be back in a couple of minutes. I'm just going to make a couple of coffee, if that's right.
Yeah, that's alright. I'm happy to take a moment, if you'd like.
Yeah.
Alright, well, let's do the thing where I go, we'll be back in a minute, and I go stream intermission.
Oh, let's see.
Right, okay, we are back from a very brief interlude. So, you leave the commission, and what would you like to do? You've got the rest of this day, and you have to return the following day to collect your writ from the commission to go take to the Temple of Ulrich. What are your plans?
I have a plan that I would like to go to the shopping district and pick up some armor. Perhaps while we're there we can see if any local jewelers recognize this design or who's creating them.
Certainly. That's an option.
That's a good idea. Well, that was another thing I wanted to investigate.
Yep, not a problem. We can do that. What sort of armor are you looking to purchase?
Essentially just like to buy a leather jack and leggings and sell my leather jerkin.
Sure. In that case, you'll probably need to go to your old friend Dunno Greendale at Greendale's Leather Goods.
Oh, that's the thing I need to do as well. Okay, yeah, go there first.
So that is in the Newmarket district, which is, I don't believe, too far away from where you are.
It's convenient.
My map is very small, I can't read. 30. Yeah, actually, it is quite close. It's just here. And you were over here at 7, so it's not too far away at all. So you wander over to Greendale's to purchase some leather armor. When you walk into the store, Dunno sort of looks up at you and says, "Oh, hello there. How are you finding that there bandolier? Is it serving you right?"
My friend, this is exquisite. It could not have been better if I asked for it to be better, in all honesty with you. I'm mightily impressed.
I did tell you that my work was second from none.
And I believe it.
Well, how can I help you?
Actually looking to, I spent that money protecting belongings, but not my actual self. So I think it's what I would like to do, really, is sell this here leather jerkin. Perhaps pick up a leather jack and some leggings, if you carry the sort.
We certainly can have a look at that. Let me see now. So he asks you to take the leather jerkin off so that he can sort of measure it up and see if he's got anything of a similar size. And he sort of measures it and goes, "Right, well, let's see now. I don't think I've got anything immediately in stock. What I could do, if you're wanting to turn, if you want a leather jack, what I could do is I could stitch some sleeves onto this here jerkin you've got, and that would turn it into a jack, and I could do that for you for quite cheap. As for leggings,
definitely work.
As for leggings, he sort of looks at you, sort of looks you up and down, and goes, I reckon I could probably make you something I haven't got anything in your size. You're quite tall. But I reckon I can make you something in a couple of days.
Sounds excellent.
Let's see now. You're a regular. Well, you're not, but I feel like you're going to be.
That is a fair assessment.
Let's have a look-see. Well, as for the leather jack, because I'm only stitching arms on that, shan't cost you much. I reckon that will only cost you around, I don't know, about 6 brass pennies for the leather. There's barely any work involved with that. The leggings,
I'll give you 1 silver for that one.
Tell you
As
what,
a thank you
well,
for the bandolier.
let's call it 1 silver, 2 pennies for that and the leggings, and we'll square it away.
Sounds excellent.
So he accepts your coin, and he's like, "Alright, I'll come back in a couple of days. At the very least, I'll have the jack done for you. If the leggings aren't done, they'll be done by the following day."
Excellent. And just while I do have your attention, do you happen to know of any jewelers in the area?
Jewelers. Let's see now. Not that I can think of. There's the odd peddler of shiny beads and whatnot. Down by the in the Alt Quarter, in the marketplace there. Not Alt Quarter, sorry, Alt Markt. But other than that, there's not really many jewelers around. You could put. What have you got?
It's more of what I've seen, and I'll just show in the necklace. Like, you haven't had any of your customers haven't come in wearing anything like this, have they?
He has a look at it and goes, "No, can't say I've seen it before. But I'll tell you who might be the perfect person to ask is, what's his name now? He runs a store just down the road from here. Locus, Master Locus at the Vermillion Pawn. He might have something for you."
I'll definitely check in. I'm just going to leave an extra 3 brass on the table as well.
Cool. He doesn't notice at first.
Doesn't need to.
Yeah. So, I guess that's all you need to do?
That's me.
Cool. Alright. So he sent you off in the potential direction of the Vermillion Pawn. Is that where you would like to go?
Unless anyone else has anything they need to do.
No, that's pretty good for now, as I've got some ideas for my money. I mean, obviously I'm going to give some as well, but also...
Then at some point I wanted to check in with that.
But I'd like to go to the jeweler first, and then I do want to go to the thing, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. At some point I would like to go swing by the apothecary place as well.
Oh, yes.
I need to check in, let him know how throwing potions is going.
Alright, well, you make your way to the Vermillion Pawn. It's a rather odd looking building. It's made of stone. It doesn't appear to have any windows on any of the faces you can see. It's just a door, and that's it. It resembles more a barracks than a house as such, or a shop. So as you enter, you are greeted by 2 dwarves who are sitting behind the counter. The first one's a big greybeard, and he looks up and says, "Aye, welcome to the Vermillion Pawn. What can I do for you?"
Good afternoon, friend. Actually, looking for, some advice on a certain necklace that's been making the rounds. It's quite fetching. Just hoping to find out who this gifted maker is, if it's not yourselves.
No, we don't make jewellery here. Are you new in town?
Haven't been here so long, that is, I'm sure you can tell.
If you've not heard of what we do here, then I'm not surprised. We here are magical appraisers. So if you've got any items of a magical nature, we can determine what it is that its magical properties are, for a fee, of course.
How much is this fee?
It's 2 gold crowns.
God damn. Is this something that Heike can do for us?
Out of character?
Yeah.
No,
Don't answer that question. That's fine.
I mean, between several of us, I think we can. I can split that cost, of course. This is part of our investigation.
Yeah, that is a good point. Sure, we can recoup losses later. How about how much is it gold again? Is it 20 silver?
Yes.
So I'm willing to part with 10 silver for this. If anyone can match me. If anyone wants to do this.
I do, yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying, between you, me, and Gehenna, 3 gold is going to be 60.
Is it 2 gold?
2 gold, that's right.
2 gold, and I only require 1 as deposit. The other is paid upon delivery, as it were.
How long does it take?
About 2 days. I've got to do some research and looking into the winds and all that sort of stuff to determine the nature of this here artifact.
Fair enough. A good job does take time.
Indeed it does.
So should we purchase this
Yeah.
fine fellow services?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'll give you a gold up front, that's fine.
Much obliged.
Yes.
Is it
We'll
just the
cover
one of
the
these
second.
here items, or are there multiple? I'm happy to do all of. If they're all the same type, I'm happy to do them all for the same, all at the same time.
Well, if it's not too much of a bother, maybe we should hold on to one, just for.
I think it might be more sensible.
Aye, fair enough. So he accepts the gold crown and he takes possession of 1, 2 of your pendants.
So I'd imagine we have 3, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine we should just keep one.
Yeah, I think so.
So he takes one of them and says, right, well, if you come back this way in a couple of days' time, I should have an answer for you. For that extra gold crown, of course.
Indeed.
Very well then. Right, well.
So you guys can chip in. You can pay me back.
Indeed.
Something.
Absolutely.
Right, well, it's been an absolute pleasure then. I'll best be about it.
That dwarf is always boasting about how much coin he has. Perhaps he should front this one.
I think it's a sensible idea.
Just screw him over while he's not here. Can't defend himself. Nick paid for everything.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Exactly. Why would he not? So generous.
That 3 gold crowns that he just earned, gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, only 2 of the 3.
Negotiated for 1.
So, after leaving the Vermillion Pawn, what did you want to do?
I wanted to go to the... I've got my missive, haven't I?
Not yet. It's the following day that they said he would have it
Okay,
ready.
so I'm going to go back to get that.
Okay.
Because then I wanted to go and speak to them about getting because I want to get that so I can go and talk to them at the temple
Yes.
of Ulrich
And
and confront them, I guess.
yeah. So you head back to the commission, and I'm assuming that you've spent the rest of the day just doing odds and ends around the town.
Well, I would like to swing by the apothecary guild at some point, if that's at all possible.
Sure. We can say that you do that in the evening.
Swag.
What is it that you need to do at the Apothecaries Guild?
The master who gave me these throwing potions asked me to let him know how they went, so I'd like to deliver a report. How these are the way of the future.
Yep. He has a look and says, oh, good, I'm glad that you found a use for one of them, but what about the other 2?
The other battles we had, it was close quarters. I would have done more damage to my side if I had thrown them. I just figured while we were here I'd give you a status update that they are quite marvelous, but they do pose a risk to those standing in front of me, unfortunately. But I'll find a way.
Indeed. Good. Good to hear. Well, I'm continuing to make some more. They aren't cheap though, so if you are requiring any more, you'll have to cough up a bit of coin.
I think you said they were like 2 gold a potion from memory last time we spoke.
That's right.
We shall see how this job pays, and I may be in the market for some more, and I'll let you know how the rest of these go. I'm sure I'll find use of them.
Good. Excellent. Alright, so the following day, you return to the commission, receive your missive from the commission, and you head to the Temple of Ulrich.
Indeed.
Let me guess where that is.
That's the big thing in the middle, right?
It is. It's, funnily enough, in the district known as Ulrichsmund.
Oh, what?
Who'd have thought?
No
I
chance.
reckon. Who'd have thunk it?
So, as you march up the steps to the temple, a couple of knights of the Order of the White Wolf step forward to sort of bar your entrance. And they say, "It's fairly brave of you to tread on this hallowed ground, Sigmar."
Well, I seek an audience with a... Now, I'm gonna... So I don't know the name of the appropriate religious level to talk to, I guess. Not a lay priest, but I'm not looking at the high priest, that's ludicrous, but one of the higher level priests.
I think they're called I believe they are called, rather annoying.
If it's an average test, I know what it's called. If it's a challenging test, I don't know what it's called.
No, it's an average test.
I fail at 0. An average, okay, so I know what it's called.
You know what it's called. I can't remember what it's called myself, but
fair enough.
you will know what it is.
Yes. So I say, look, brothers, I am but a priest who follows the gods of the Empire as well. The fact that I choose and worship the father of our very holy Empire himself should make no difference. I acknowledge the religious and hallowed nature of this ground, but I have no quarrel with you. I am here to seek your superior. I bring a missive from the Commission for Health, of which I am working, about a plague in Alberwitz, and the priest stationed there, and how he is not ministering to his pack as he should be.
I'm assuming you show this missive to them as well.
I do, yes, yeah. But I keep a fairly firm grip on it.
Yeah. One of them looks confused when he looks at it. Clearly he can't read. The other one has a look at it and goes, that does appear to be in order. Alright, come with me, but you will have to... I understand I can't force you to leave your warhammer behind, that's understandable, but I will have to ask your companions here to leave their weapons at the door, if that's fine by them.
I just take it off and leave it by the door. No quarrels here.
I will, as a sign of good faith, brother, I will also leave my hammer at the door. This is the Temple of Ulrich, and I respect Ulrich's primacy in his own temple, in his own city, without denying the importance of my own god Sigmar. And I'll make the sign of the twin-towered comet. But I will leave my warhammer there with the other weapons as well.
He looks at you and says, "That was justly said. Very well. Come with me." He doesn't return the symbol, but there's a look of.
I wasn't expecting him to.
There is certainly more. There is more respect in his eyes for you than there was a few minutes before.
Yeah.
You've impressed him.
Yeah.
So he leads you into the temple, and he leads you to sort of a side.
While we're walking, I wanted to sort of have a bit of a chat, if I could.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm trying to ask, or what I'm trying to do is sort of lead the conversation to, and yeah, basically say like it's good that that you understand. Well, yeah, so it's good that you understand that we can work together and that in our roles as priests, we are both warriors. You have the ferocity of the wolf, and I have the strength of the hammer, and we are both important parts of the empire. And it is both important that we minister to our flock or pack, respectively. I don't see that there needs to be as much competition between our gods. I feel that they share a sphere, but that is to their increase in strength, not to diminish the honor of each other.
Roll for me, please. Not a gossip test. It's not really what I want you to do.
I mean, that might be coming later because I'm trying to lead the conversation, be happy to him, so I can be like, "Hey, why is the dude not talking to anyone from Sigma?"
Yeah.
I mean, that's ultimately where I want the conversation to go, but I'm trying to obviously butter him up, be nice first.
In that case, let's call it not a gossip test, but let's just call it a flat fellowship test.
Okay.
It will be challenging though.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah,
nice.
Getting all the good rolls out tonight.
Nice, that's it. That's partly why I saved one of my points as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I need to do some social roleplay, and my character is not good at social roles.
I mean, you're better than
I'm
Ulrich.
sure look, I know I'm better than Ulrich, but I've got companions here, so I know they might be able to help me possibly, but also they're probably just wandering along behind at the moment.
Yeah.
When does fortune reset?
It's
between
the start of every session, yeah.
It's every session, yeah.
So the knight who is leading you in, he says, "Look, I couldn't say neither here nor there for what is happening for in terms of the faith, as it were. That'd be up to the brothers and the Ulrich himself. I'm but a knight of the Order of the White Wolf. I couldn't say.
Oh, of course, and I am a brother of the Order of Sigma. I am a priest, a warrior priest of the Order of Sigma, of the Silver Hammer. You know Silver Hammer.
I think that's what you said you were.
I think that's what I said I am. Because the other one's Witch Hunter, and there's the other ones which are just like the admin.
Yeah.
And then there's lots of others, but I think Silver Hammer, like the proper classic warrior priests. I am merely talking as a fellow brother to a knight. I surely you must see that there must be some concern, because again I do not cast any doubts on the primacy of Ulrich in his city, but you must acknowledge the role that all the gods play in our lives. I would not expect Ulrich or Sigmar to minister for the dead as Moore does, nor would I ask them to aid in healing as Shyala does. Or indeed, I would not ask them to blow on my dice were I a betting man.
Indeed. Well, we may have our differences in our faith, but I do understand where you're coming from, brother. But I think you'll find probably more answers to be had from the religious men within the faith, as opposed to myself as just a lowly knight.
Of course. Well, perhaps we could. What was your name again? Sorry, brother knight.
My name is Wolfram Ulrichsmund.
A good, strong name. And are you from Middenheim.
Aye.
No, it's not Middenheim. It's not Middenheim, is it? It's...
Yeah.
What's the name of the town we're in? It is Middenheim.
It is Middenheim, yeah.
Okay. Or are you from a village outside?
No, Middenheim are born and bred.
Ah, excellent. Well, perhaps I could buy you an ale this evening. Maybe we could have some more of these discussions about how we can work together a bit more, or maybe you can tell me about some of the sights of the city, because I mean, obviously you're a local born and bred. I am, as you can tell from my bumpkin accent, I'm from outside of town. But still a Midlander.
Aye. There are certainly some places that could be gone to. I do remember there being one that was a favourite of them, but for the life of me, do you think I can remember what it's called?
Probably Wolfie McWolfden, the land of the wolves, and Thunder Wolfenheim. And they only ever play Powerwolf, and they all play Space Wolves, and yeah, etc.
I actually think there was a specific tavern that is a favourite with the old
I'm sure there is.
I can't find it. I'll have to look.
Okay.
There is a place.
That's right. Yeah, it does. Look, the specifics don't matter too much at the moment.
Yeah.
That's all right. Yeah. Cool.
I'll tell you who might be a good person for you to speak to. I think you have said many fair words, and I feel that you would do well to have a conversation with our brother Bengt.
Oh, well, thank you.
He's
well, to the Arcturus Mengt.
He's a one of the members of the Order of the Book, or Brothers of the Book, I should say.
Of course.
He is a loquacious character. I feel like he'd enjoy bandying words with you.
Indeed. Well, if you might direct me to him once I have dealt with my slightly more grim tidings.
Indeed, I can do that, provided you are not chased out by the higher ups of the temple, I suppose.
Of course.
So he leads you to this sort of side office. It's not really the word I'm looking for, but side room.
Mm-hmm.
And knocks and
side
den, that could work, yeah. And enters and says, "Den Father, I've brought here a priest of Sigmar and his companions who wish to have words with you about one of our brethren out in the March of Nordringen." And he steps out of the door to allow you to step in, and you are met by a man in his primacy. He is tall, broad, muscular. He's not wearing armor at this point in time. He's just wearing like a light tunic, but you can see that he is just a fine specimen of a man.
Sure.
And he looks up at you and he says, "A Sigmarite in my presence, under Ulrich's roof. You must be out of your mind, Wolfram. Get out of my sight." And the knight sort of bows his head and steps out. "Now, what business does a Sigmarite and his companions have here in the house of Ulrich?"
As I said to your honourable man outside, I follow the god of the Empire, Sigmar, and when the sun rests and the world is dark and the great fires are lit, and the ale is poured into flagons, then it is time to sing sagas as the dwarfs do, and the greatest saga is that of Sigmar, mightiest warrior. But I also come to say that may Ulrich bless you with the fangs of the wolf, and the claws of the wolf, and the coat of the wolf, and to call you to show your enemies the mercy of the wolf. I come bearing a missive from the what's that called? Commission for Health, as I have been called by my god to minister to the flocks of the people of Middenland and Middenheim, just as you have your priests who call to your packs and in their towns and villages as well.
But in the city, or the northern town of Alberwitz, there is a plague brought upon by a foul curse of chaos. And I have been instructed to investigate that with my companions here. And yet your priest, your man of Ulrich, who should show the courage of the wolf, has gathered his pack into his den and will not open the doors to anyone. He cowers like a cub rather than baring his fangs to face the foe. And I thrust the missive at him as well.
Cool. Make for me, please, a... I keep wanting to say a persuasion test. That's not a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could you make for me, please, a leadership test?
I was going to say leadership is
leadership. I think that's what I want you to do. Yeah, make for me a leadership test, and I will.
It's going to be challenging.
It's going to be challenging, and it will be contested.
Okay. Good.
Oh, damn.
Oh.
Hang on, is that me? Did I roll the impressive?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he just calls you daddy.
Nice.
Oh no.
Oh. Oh.
Jesus. Well, I'm going to spend my fortune to match him.
Okay, sure. Well, that essentially turns yours into a crit. So, you do beat him then in that instance.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
You essentially roll a nat 1, which is the best roll you can make.
That's it.
And he looks at the missive and he takes a moment. And he says, "Those are some fair words. And well spoken. I'll hear what you have to say. I shall read this missive more closely after having cast a cursory glance at it. So you say that one of our brethren up in the north has been refusing to administer to his pack."
Well, he has drawn them into the temple, and I understand the need to protect them from this curse. But I offer no insult when I insist that it was my devout faith and calling upon the blessings of Sigmar. For I am known in some places as Brother Vigmar the Blessed. I have witnessed the miracles of the gods firsthand. It was my own strength of faith and words that was able to cure, albeit temporarily, one of these stricken with the curse. And yet your man seems to offer no fight against this curse, but to just draw his pack into the temple and bar the rest of the town from entering, for fear that they may have it, rather than seeking to go out and fight off those that would oppress the village, be they stricken with the curse or not.
Well, Alberwitz, you said?
Indeed.
Let me think now. Do I remember what the name of the priest is who lives out in Alberwitz?
I'm just going to have a look and see if I wrote it down. Stupidly not, I didn't.
I think I did. I can probably tell you because I've got it written in my notes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've got some other notes here that I was trying to write down. Yeah, I've heard of Bengt before, that's right. Cool. So I've got to double up on Bengt, but that's okay. But yeah.
I don't seem to have it written down anywhere. It was probably something like Brother Ulrich, because let's be honest, as I said before, every second or third man in Middenland is named Ulrich, so it wouldn't surprise me if it was Brother Ulrich.
It's like there's going to be an Ulrich in there somewhere. Yeah. Ulrich Wolf's. Look, I've got Wolf in my name. Yeah.
Wolf.
Yeah.
Well, my name's Wolfgang, but then Vigmar, because Sigmar, it's just... it's a Middenland and Middenheimer tradition.
I feel like his name should be Sven Borgs. How about that?
I like that. Yeah.
So he says, I do remember that priest. He's not usually one to give in to cowardice, if I recall, but seems that with grave tidings, he has turned away from the ferocity and strength of Ulrich and has chosen instead to cower inside his temple. I'll send a detachment out to go and deal with him, I think, and show him the error of his ways.
I think that would be wise. He would not meet my challenge head on, but merely dismissed me.
Would he not? You challenged him directly.
I did?
And he refused.
I don't know if I did, but I'm lying. But yeah, I sort of did.
I thought you did.
He kind of just threw you out.
Yeah, absolutely. He refused to meet me. He refused to entertain any of these suggestions. I spoke the same just words. Of course, I did not come bearing a missive, but...
Aye, well, this is...
And it was after this, I will admit, it was after this that my faith had cured one of the stricken, but I would not doubt that Ulrich's strength may also show courage. They are both warrior gods.
This news disturbs me and darkens my thoughts. What I will do, I will send a brother to replace this misbegotten priest and send him back here for penance. He will be sent with a detachment of Knights of the Order of the White Wolf to help aid in the defense of the town. As for
boy!
Yeah. As for yourself, you've spoken justly and with fair words, and you've given me much pause for thought. I thank you for taking the risk. I think is not the right word, but it's the word that comes to mind. To set foot inside this most holy of places.
I understand this, and were we the roles reversed, I would hope that I could offer such grace as you have as well.
He says, "Is there anything else that I can do for you whilst you're here? Not that I believe that you won't be welcomed back in the future. As I said, you've traded fair words here today, and I will make it known to the gatekeepers that you are to be admitted should you wish to enter in the future."
That is courageous of you to say so, and thank you. And of course, I do not, as I've said to all, I do not question Ulrich's role or his primacy in the city. And as I said, my path is on a different one, and I see us all as children of the Empire. And so therefore I must follow Sigma. But are we not, is this not, while it is Ulrich's city, of course, it is still a city of the Empire. Is the current Empire Karl Franz, or is it someone else? Or is it always Karl Franz?
No, it's Karl Franz at the moment, yeah. Karl Franz second.
Karl Franz, the Lich King.
Yeah, as I said, one of the Karl Franzes. I mean, our Empire is the same Franz. And while he lives a long way away, we are all still his subjects, and we all contribute to the strength of mankind under the Empire. We are not Bretonnians with their these and thous and their peasantry. We are strong men of the north and the east and the south and the forests and the mountains. Yet I hear troubling words from my own priests and my own brethren in the much more humble temple of Sigma in your own city that Todbringer refuses to even speak to the priests of Sigma. Our priests are often shunned in the city. I respect that many do not see the importance of our faith here, but I just am concerned that the Todbringer of the city has been said to be almost openly hostile towards us, and I wonder what has caused this.
At this turn of conversation, you see his face sort of harden.
Yeah.
And he says, "By rights, I shouldn't really talk to you about this. That is between the Ulrich and the Duke himself. I will say this much though: those two have been in close the word I'm looking for? They have been given to many a private conversation ever since our Ulrich was raised to his current position.
I thank you for saying as much as you have.
I appreciate your giving me an option here to not speak any more of it. I would dare not put my say any unjust words of the leader of our religious faith.
I say thank you for your hospitality in Den Father. And I feel that I do not wish to overstay my welcome, but I am grateful to hear that I would be welcome back should I wish to return.
I will hit this man with my Ulrich and gang signs too.
He gets up from behind his desk and he I don't know what the symbol of the wolf would be, but he does the appropriate symbol.
It's totally, it is 1,000,000% finger puppet wolf with the first finger and index finger extended, and then the middle fingers and the thumb meeting in the middle. It is, it is 1,000,000% that. It is you make a finger puppet fucking dog head with your hands, because that's hilarious.
It probably
that is canon.
It was like
if it's not, it's canon now.
It is canon now. That is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
if doing the symbol, the twin tail comma is basically just like doing like a peace symbol and like tapping your chest.
Yeah.
Then the wolf thing is like, yeah.
Just go arf arf.
Ooh, I'm a little puppy.
Oh no.
You got to obey your betters, so you know.
My den daddy.
Den pappy.
Does this collar look big? Does this collar look good on me? Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on. Yeah, cool.
I'm gonna get banned by Twitch.
I hope so.
I'm manacles for the soldiers are fluffy. Oh no.
Oh god. Okay. Anyway, I'll do a twin tail comment back at him, and I'll go for the manly forearm grasp.
Damn right.
I'll offer my hand out as like a handshake / forearm shake.
He goes for of course the manlier of the two options, but he also claps you on the shoulder as well.
Oh
hell
yeah. What a bitch. Ugh.
He's one up to you.
He did one up me, yeah. I mean, in which case, I'm going to slip back, and as he tries to let go, I only go for the second hand grab.
Ooh.
No. Oh,
no.
Mum.
You know what? I'm going to, based on this leadership role from earlier, I'm going to say that you pull that off. And there's a moment where his eyes widen slightly, but then he sort of tries to feign it off as like, oh no, that's fine.
All right, then I'll leave. Yeah, we'll leave. I'm not gonna push.
Don't
push it any further.
Marvelous.
The testosterone in the room is gonna make my character
Your
uber
balls
bald.
dragging on the ground as
That's
you go.
it. Just like swing them over the shoulder like an uber chat. Yeah.
That's horrible mentally. Like a fine stole.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
That's dreadful.
Amazing.
Right. Okay. So you've left the temple, or are you still in the temple and wanting to go and speak to Brother Bengt?
Well, yeah, I was going to try and see if I could find Bengt. Yeah, I guess, or maybe no. Actually, what I was going to do, I'm going to go to the dude at the door who can read, and I'm going to pass him a note to give to Bengt.
Sure.
To invite him for a drink at somewhere else. I don't know.
At some place.
At a place. What's one of the places we've been to? Where did I meet up with Ulrich last time? Where was he? Ulrich. Our dwarven.
He was at the Coppershiners.
Ulrich.
We'll go there then.
Cool.
Because that's full of dwarves, and I'm like a dwarf weeb, so...
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's true.
It is true. You are a bit of a dwarf weeb.
Yeah.
Just walk inside. What up, my short kings?
Pretty much.
Brilliant.
Amazing. Yeah.
All right. So you do that. You slip him a note, and he nods to you.
Does one of you guys have writing materials?
I think so.
I thought one of you bought something because I don't think I do. So I will ask to borrow.
I'm fairly sure Heike has a book.
Piece of paper.
And, I'm pretty
that's
sure
what I thought. Yeah.
So I'm sure you could.
I'll do that. I'll
tear
get
a page
some
from
paper. Yeah. Yeah.
Easy. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
So you quickly scrawl a note and hand it off to this knight who.
Yes.
Will deliver it to Brother Banked.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, is there any place else you would like to go to do further research into these amulets or these necklaces that you found, or the disease itself, or even the name of Babracos that you heard mentioned before?
I would like to investigate about Babracos.
That's a good idea.
That sounds like some kind of pastry dessert.
It really does.
It does a bit.
Now I want a pastry dessert.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know where to start to look for Babracos. Mind you, that being said, I'd probably go back. At this point, I'd want to go back to the Temple of Sigma and just kind of cleanse myself, because, like, all of that fucking brown nosing I just had to do in the Temple of Ulrich has made me feel a bit ill.
Yes.
You kind of liked it. That's the worst bit.
I mean, with that leadership role, you were really in your element there. So.
I think so. Like, I just nailed it. I thought, you know what, this is my jam.
Yeah.
Well, I have technically. I think I've achieved my minor goal.
I think you might have done. What was your minor goal again? Your minor
Well, I moved it. It was initially it was to get a Warhammer, but then I moved from that because I was shifted, and it was to have a positive discussion with an Ulrich and priest.
I would say you've done that.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to the Temple of Sigma, and put some more of that money towards the stuff in the Temple of Sigma.
Yep.
For the good of the people. But also talk to Brother Micah and stuff there about and see if they know anything about Babracos or these plagues or anything, because I haven't really spoken to them about it.
Yeah.
I heard about it through Hiker and was just like, fucking, that's my job.
Yeah. And the other two of you?
I'm just gonna tag along.
Yeah, I want to
I'm learning new things. Seeing muscular men,
Hot daddies. I want to learn about Babracos and his band of chums. I don't know if there's like a learned area.
A pantheon of chums.
Make for me, please, a Law Midland test if you've got one, or a Law Middenheim test if you've got it.
And is it worth me doing that as well?
Yes.
I have Law Nordland. I don't have Middenheim.
Okay.
Challenging, average. I've got Middenland.
You've got Middenland. It'll be a challenging one now. I'll let you do a Law Nordland one, Luke. It'll also be challenging.
Keep losing my freaking page. I don't know shit.
Yeah. Like, as I think I mentioned last time, you both had definitely heard the name of Babracos before, but you don't really know much else otherwise.
No. But also, I'm not a book nerd. That's why I want to go and talk to the book nerd.
That's correct. Alright, so you make your way to the Temple of Sigma.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna put some more silver. I'm gonna put 5 silver in the bowl.
Nice. And you run into Brother Micah. he says,
Yep.
"Ah, Brother Wolfgang, you have returned.
I have.
Have you been administering to the flock?"
I have indeed. I went with one of my companions, the Blessed Sister Heike of the Grey Wizards. For she was called north to the village of... I keep forgetting. Alberwitz. For a plague had smitten them down. And when we arrived, we found that it was not a plague so much as a curse. A curse that only seemed to be lifted by my faith in Sigmar, and I was able to pray for one, and I seemed to have saved that soul for now, but he is still afflicted and may succumb again. But in doing so, we came across these strange amulets, and I'll show him the amulet.
Yep.
And the whole story and Vavricross and whatever.
Yeah.
Right? I've done a lot of roleplay talking. Let's speed it up.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
No, that's fine. So he when you mentioned the name Vavricross, he's like, intriguing. But
I know the name, but I forget where I've heard it before.
Well, you are not from the city, are you? You are not.
No,
you are from the Middle
from
Mountains.
The north.
Indeed.
The Middle Mountains, indeed.
You would not know much of Vavricross, for he is a threat and an source of evil for the city of Middenheim itself, not really for the surrounds.
It was the dead who walked, it was the skeletons. They were as if they were animated again.
Indeed. Mighty Vavricross was a necromancer of some skill, it was said. I'm not surprised you do not know much beyond the name itself. The lore of Vavricross is quite intertwined with that of the Ulrican faith, so you might have better luck there getting information from them. And by the sounds of things, you have had some decent interaction with the Ulricans.
I have indeed. I met with the Den Father, for I had a less than good interaction with their cowardly priest in Alberwitz.
Indeed. The fact that you had a positive interaction with the Den Father is impressive, for the Den Father is renowned in Middenheim as being not overly kind towards the other faiths.
Hey, I certainly noticed this. He's an impressive man, but fortunately my strength of faith, I think, won through, and if I'm allowed some arrogance, I think I too can be an impressive man at times.
I think Sigmar will allow such moments of immodesty, brother, if the cause is just.
I would offer some insight on that, for I thought to make good on that mission that you offered me. Oh, was it Micah? No, it's the other guy.
It was
It was Micah, yeah.
I think it was Werner Stoltz who offered you the...
That's right, it was Stoltz, but for some words for Stoltz, that apparently it was when the Ulrich and High Priest ascended to that role, was when he and the Duke, the Todbringer, became rather inseparable.
Indeed. I had heard...
I'm sure there is more to find out, but that is what I've found so far.
I had heard that the Ulrich, before his ascension, had been a close confidant of the Todbringer, so I'm not surprised that this is continued after his ascension to the highest of seats of the Ulrican faith.
Indeed.
But
I digress. I have set up a meeting with this brother Bengt, who is said to be more open to discussing things. Perhaps he can shed more light now that I have made a bit of a name for myself.
Indeed, he might well be able to assist you. I'm sorry that I cannot tell you more than what you than what I have. As I said, the Ulrichans are the primary law keepers for the city and those of their flock, and they would have much more detailed records of Babrikos.
Of course, I would expect so. But as I think he might be able to offer some light on both. He might be able to tell me more about the Todbringers' shunning of the Sigmarite faith, and also shed some more light on Babrikos.
Indeed. If you are looking for any other places that you might find further information, the Collegium Theologica, where the young students go, there is a library there. You might be able to find information there. And there is, of all places, a tavern by name of the Scholars. The proprietor is a learned man and keeps many old and antique books. You might find information there, provided that you can get through all of the customers that he has there playing Aftavel.
Ah. Well, we'll have to see what I can do.
Very well. May Sigmar be with you, brother.
Indeed, and appropriate king signs. Actually, before you go, Micah, I wish to... Would it be yourself, or should I speak to one of the quartermaster priests? Perhaps Theodosius, to possibly acquire some more armament. I feel that my travels may have drawn attention to myself, but also I definitely, on learning more about this plague and the way it is transferred, one has to succumb to wounds from those already afflicted. And while I'm, a healthy and well-armed man, I feel like I could put a few more layers of steel between myself and the teeth and claws of these foes. It might look after me better.
Indeed. Yes, Brother Theodosius would certainly be the man to speak to. He would be able to assist you in such things. Whether or not we have them here or if they need to be specially commissioned, he would be the man to speak to.
Of course. Alright, well.
Cool.
Well, I want to keep doing that. If the other, I don't know what you other guys want to do or where we're at with it and everything.
I've sort of exhausted my list. I'm just waiting for shit to get made.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'll talk to Theodosius then.
Cool.
Unless you've got anything you want to do, Steph, or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, I'll go and talk to Theodosius, essentially, and what I'm basically after is some chainmail. I'm just seeing if I can, if there is any I can kind of borrow or
no problem.
buy at a heavily discounted price. I mean, if not, that's also fine, but yeah.
Essentially, yeah, you'll speak with Brother Theodosius, and he will have a set of chain links for you that you can wear, and it is very similar to the sort of chain shirt that Johanna has, so it covers both arms and body.
Cool.
And being that it is male, it can be worn underneath other armor.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
That was the idea.
And as a warrior priest, this is just available to you, so you don't have to purchase it.
Great. Perfect. How much does it add?
I think it's 2.
Cool.
I will double check.
Yeah. Hang on. Oh, I can do that too, maybe.
It is 2.
Right. Cool. And has it got flexible and weak points? Is that what it's got? Or is it just flexible?
Just flexible.
Cool. Great.
Cool.
Great.
Cool. Well, if you want to continue, I'm happy to continue. I get the feeling with only the 3 of you guys playing, it might feel like this is a natural point to hold up for the time being before we get too further involved in this storyline.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Before we spend all of Nick's money.
Before we spend all of Nick's money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, end of the working week, I imagine we're all fairly tired.
Reasonably sleepy, yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll call this done for the time being, I think.
Cool. Yeah.
And
that sounds good.
we will continue on next fortnight, I guess.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sweet.
Cool.
Alright, so if I do this, if I go